Tim is in Los Angeles. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Good, Dave. Good to talk to you. Thanks for the call.
Sure. How can I help?
So I'm the current owner and leader of a high-pressure valve and fitting company in Los Angeles. I've got 3 team members, and our top-line revenue last year was about $2 million.
Wow.
I've been dealing a little bit of a situation with 2 of the members who butt heads. We sit down and talk about it, and then a week or 2 later, we're back to the same thing again. Just trying to figure out what the best way is to resolve that.
What are they arguing about?
It seems to be boundaries within their work areas. One is covering the warehouse, one's covering the front office and order processing.
So they're arguing about what?
They're arguing about the front office person going in the back and checking inventory and pulling parts, essentially kind of stepping on the toes of the warehouse person and vice versa. There also seems to be some level of what I feel is disrespect as far as the tone of voice. It's almost like civil rivalry, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's territorial. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Pick up Pat Lencioni's book Silos and read it tonight, because you got 2 silo leaders here that are there. So I'm going to assume the best, is it 2 men?
Male and female.
A male and female. I'm going to assume the best of these 2 humans for a minute. I'm going to assume that their heart is in the right place and they suck at how to handle it.
Yep, agreed.
Okay. That neither one of them is just a grouch and dysfunctional, which if that's the case, you just need to fire them, because you're not going to be able to fix that. Because they're just a butt, okay? But I'm going to assume that's not the case. I'm going to assume that this person cares so much about the customer and the reputation of our company that they can't stand it, and they have to make sure they take ownership even of areas that are not theirs.
You are 100% spot on.
Okay. All right. Then I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them both in the same room, and I'm going to say that out loud.
Okay.
Okay. And then instead of saying, kids, we can't argue, it's, what is it that we're arguing about? We're arguing about when you go over there from the front office and go out of your area and start pulling parts and shipping them, which says to the other guy, I don't think you're competent. It insults him, and so he gets angry at being insulted and being called incompetent, not by your words, but by your actions. And all you're trying to do is make sure the customer's taken care of, which I like. And a matter of fact, he likes that. And but you just completely, you walk through his area in your muddy boots.
Right.
And every time I walk through the living room in muddy boots, I hear about it from my wife. Okay? Can't do that. Leave your stupid boots in the garage, And so don't walk in my area in your muddy boots. So you've got to change your process, that when you think there's a struggle in the other area, that you show up in that other area and say, hey, we've got to get these parts out of here. We got customers ticked off. How can I help? And I'm not going to tell you guys 63 times to start asking, how can I help? When both of you have the same goal of looking at the customer and taking care of them and making this company look good, both of you have that same goal. If you don't believe the other one has that goal, then what you're saying is you don't trust me as a leader because you think I'm willing to leave someone who's incompetent, doesn't care, in a seat. Now we've got another problem. And I don't think you believe I'm an incompetent leader. But when you walk down there, you're calling him incompetent, and you're calling me incompetent for leaving him in the seat. This has got to stop. Now, I do want you to cause something to happen to solve the problem, but the answer is, instead of going and physically taking over someone else's area, you simply say, hey, the customer needs these things. I know you guys are backed up, or there must be some kind of thing, because I know you would never do this on purpose. How can I help? You want me to pull them for you? Is there something I can do to help?
Ask permission.
That's all you got to do. And then nobody cares if you're in their area. If you ask permission to come in and say, how can I serve you? How can I help you? You guys must, because I know you're good people. I know you want to take care of things right. I know you want to do this, but you're not. So I must think that, gosh, something's bad going on. How can I help? Instead of, you bunch of doofuses, I got to go fix this because y'all can't.
Right.
Is that kind of accurate or not?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, so to me, I would just teach them to say, how can I help? And I think Lencioni's book, Silos, after you read it, you may make both of them read it, and then the three of you sit and have a little 30-minute discussion over a cup of something and discuss that book and say, okay, this is what silos look like. Because silos, territories that are protected and no one is allowed to walk into for fear of the person running it taking their head off, that's unhealthy too.
Yes, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, you've got I can hear it. You got silos. That's where this is coming from. Again, assuming that they have good hearts and they are competent, and I'm assuming that. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. If they don't have good hearts, if they're just being small-minded, and they really don't care about the customer, all they do is care about being political and slitting somebody's throat by doing their job for them, then that's a different thing. I got to fire somebody there.
Sure. No, I've got a really great team. The culture's been really great as well. It just seems to be more recently that we're having these issues.
Yeah, when you get really, really busy and stuff gets backed up, people just start scrambling in the chaos and they step on each other.
And we're experiencing growth, and I think that's what's creating this. And
yeah, you've increased your volume, and your systems are breaking.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, and that's a classic Pathfinder thing that you're sitting in. You got to get those systems. You got to get those systems going, man, and start working and level up through these stages. So get with the EntreLeadership team and get in Elite, and they can help you do every bit of that. So that's very cool, man. Yeah, I love what you're doing, and I love that you observed it and figured it out. But, yeah, Lencioni, that's a classic book. We read that book around here. We had silos for days around Ramsey. Took us forever to get the silos torn down. But the good news is you got people that care that run them. They're little fiefdoms. They're little kingdoms within the kingdom. And, man, the good news is there are people that care and that are competent involved. But, boy, they get real territorial. Yeah, we used to have a lot of fights on that. We called it VP on VP violence around here, and we had to stop that. It was a big deal. So, hey, good question, man. Thank you for calling in. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.